Happy Father's Day to the people. We've got a lot of great things to talk about here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. We're going to go all the way through it. Of course, that is Coop. I'm your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are download and listen to. While you're here, please wipe your feet. Like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. I don't think we deserve it. Go ahead and give us 5 anyway. And, gifted. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, me and Coop got a lot of fun things to talk about, like a couple of visitors. We're going to talk a little bit of recruiting and who all decide to pull up. We're also going to talk about the experts have given their analysis, and we're going to do the same thing around the schedule. We're going to also give you our earliest June predictions of the schedule, who we think are wins, who we think are losses. We're just going to have ourselves a good time. So happy Sunday, Coop. How's it going, my man?
My man, it's doing good. Hey, happy Father's Day to you, Jay. I know
Happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you. When I say happy Father's Day, my dad is 15 years gone, but my grandfather is still kicking at 93. So happy Father's Day to Lloyd Harris, an absolute phenomenal man. And if there's any decency in me, it came from him.
I can see that. It sounds like that is exactly where that would come from. It would be from him and not so much from you. Kidding. No, happy Father's Day to everybody. Hopefully you all have had a great Father's Day so far. I went out, ate with my kids. They got me some nice gifts. Added to my nerd collection of Marvel labeled Lego sets. So I have another big one I need to put together. I'm behind.
What'd you get?
This one is the one that's going up next.
Oh, Wakanda Forever!
Exactly. Got a big one there. I also have a Captain America shield I need to put together, so it goes over there with Mjolnir. So, and I have a Nintendo throwback TV with the console one. Yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
So those 3 I need to put together, and that's my plan, is to have those done by the end of the year. I plan on refreshing everything behind me. Of course, I got to keep the tumbler behind me, but I'm going to move some of the other stuff around just so I have the space and show things out. But thank y'all for jumping in. Like I said, happy Father's Day. Hit the like, subscribe button, and all of that jazz. So, Coop, let's start with the simplest of conversations, the quick opener, the one that makes the most sense, the one that we care the most about. Well, everybody else cared the most about. It's going to be recruiting. So we know that last weekend was a big weekend for the Sooners. It was the first big recruiting weekend they had. They had a lot of big-time guests. We had some great opportunities that populated. We had some commitments because of it. And this weekend we had a similar setup. Let me see if I can get this to look actually good on my screen. There we go. So here's one visitor that did pull up, DeZephan Walker. This is a picture of him with DeMarco Murray. This was back in May when he first got the offer. And we know that he tweeted out a couple days ago that he is in town. He is I guess you could say, consensus and composite 4-star player, top 400 player in the country. Let me pull that so y'all can see it. This is the man, the myth, the legend himself. And I like him as a running back. Big size. I don't think he's actually 5'10", 180. I think he's actually bigger than that. But it doesn't matter. Coop. He has himself listed at 6 foot 205. So that means that he's grown since he actually had his rankings put together. So, Coop, talk to me. How you feeling about DeZephan and this visit so far?
You know, I kind of get the feel that this is another thumper. You got to feel like this might be another Nagy situation to where, he's looking at the bodies, looking at some of the guys who, get to the NFL and, just really are able to show stability. I think the college game is pretty set that you need 2 good running backs to be coming through. So, he falls in the Xavier Robinson, type of body style. Looks like he's going to be a guy who is built for the SEC. a guy that can get some short yardage. And, when you have guys that are small, compact, thumpers, those guys are going to be the ones that you really get excited for short yardage. You don't have to come up with things like the belldozer, but it is a guy who can also get on the edge and burn too. So you look at him as a kind of a diamond in the rough. It's up there in Missouri. So if there's any chance that you can, steal somebody out of the obnoxious state, or I forget what the actual terminology is for that state. Show me state. Show me anybody more obnoxious.
Don't do that.
That's the one that is a really good pool. So got a couple different guys coming in and just trying to round out this class. You've got a good running back fold right now, but again, you expect expect to lose a couple guys this year. So got to keep on filling it up.
Yeah, you got to get yourself some more backs because you know that, like you said, we're going to have some people leave over the next few. We'll share this one so y'all can kind of see him as a back. He's, as you said, he breaks tackles, which
he's got some wiggle.
He's got some wiggle. Little move here and there that you all will definitely appreciate. I liked watching his film when I was watching him the other day. I was like, oh, okay, so this is one of those backs that can go between the tackles, shake off a couple here and there. He doesn't fall because of arm tackles. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the bigger things that I saw that jumped out to him. And when I looked at like the offer sheet, that's probably the spot where I feel like, I don't know if he's really under the radar. Because his offer sheet is a lot better than most expect. He's got Texas A&M, Tennessee. He's got Oregon, who we know Oregon's, when they chase after players, they go after the big home run hitters. He's got Ole Miss, Missouri, Oklahoma State, Minnesota, Miami's after him, so another bag school. Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Arkansas, both the Kansas schools because he's in the show me state, so he's got to get the close schools. Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Nebraska are the three that's considered warm over on 247. So it sounds like those are the schools that they think have the biggest chance. And Oklahoma is now popping up and trying to wiggle their way in as they've got an OV this weekend. Next weekend, he goes to Nebraska. So he went to K-State, didn't commit. He actually canceled the Notre Dame visit to come to Oklahoma. Kind of a big deal in my personal opinion.
Doesn't sound bad. I mean, this is a guy that you watch the film and everybody will like right away. He does have the ability to run through the arm tackles, so a little bit more juice than Samaje. But I see this one where he gets out on the edge and he keeps his balance. So DeMarco would work with that.
Yeah, and that's probably the bigger piece that we saw out of this is that kid can make some things happen there. What y'all think in the comments, let me know. Sooner Cowboy, I see it. Who's all showing up for the 20th? We'll actually go through that list before we jump into the comment section. We know that this coming weekend is the big one. It's the Champion Barbecue weekend. It's the one where you're going to have the vast majority of the top players that Oklahoma really is going after. The list, of course, shows who all is going to be there. And at the same time, we've got some players that have shifted in and out. I'll point out the ones that I know aren't going to pull up, but for the most part, everybody that's on actually this list has been updated. So I think everybody on this list are actually confirmed to be coming into town. So yeah. And then we'll also see what Bo Bentley looks like. Thanks, Coach Powers, for that. Notre Dame has already taken two running backs. That makes sense. I could totally understand that. Another visitor that I thought was that was pretty exciting is going to be, let's share this tab instead. Take him off. Is this Sooner legacy here, Coop? Josiah Jefferson, the JUCO product, the brother of Tony Jefferson, former Sooner, who's also currently a Charger. he tweeted at Nagy and said, "Hey, I know somebody that would like to be in Oklahoma. They could be a legend here." And Nagy appears to have reached out. They had a conversation. Next thing you know, he gets an offer. And then boom, we set up a visit.
He's got the size. He's got the pedigree. And
Tony came with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's never good, never bad when you can have an NFLer come in and visit with. But you got you got a situation where he could be in this summer, as he could be in the 25 class. Eligibility things are going to be what this boils down to. He could be in the 26 class, and I think we'll know soonish, kind of around those things. But this is one that, whether it is 25 or 26, 20, yeah, could be this summer or 26. Like you take them whichever way you can get, because you show a little love to Tony, who left for the draft a little early, ended up going undrafted, and had himself a nice little career, and still doing some stuff up there. So I know that he's still working for this season, as Topher says here. So the guy's not giving it up, and he's just a great safety. So this tight end, 6'5", 215. Going to be a dude who Schmidt needs to hang out with, and I got to think that he's probably gone over some meal plans, with Schmidt already. So that way, if he makes it in the summer, he can continue to start working. And but yeah, you watch these films, and you're not going to find anything that you really dislike about him. What's the competition level? That's going to be the next step up. But you get him in here and get him in with a solid D1 group for strength and conditioning. He's exciting, pass catching style tight end. So you got a couple of guys in the 26 class and 27 class you're already kind of targeting out. So love to have him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and he's, like you say, he's a pass catcher. He's very athletic, as you can tell. And we could use some additional tight end play. We just need healthy tight end play. That's really honestly what we've been needing here at Oklahoma. That's been the thing that has been probably the most painful, is that we haven't had healthy tight end play.
Hold on. I want to pause the show, because look at Sooner Cowboys' last chat. I don't know if I'm reading this or if it's
whoa.
What is going on? Somebody get a thermometer.
I gotta put this on the screen.
Somebody get a thermometer.
Okay. Now I'm afraid. I've never seen this type of optimism. He's been hacked. He has. Thank you, Topher. He's been hacked. That is exactly what Sooner Cowboy has been hacked. It's okay.
Just like Jimmy Green Beans during the Thunder game the other night.
And that's the only reason why I call Jimmy Green Beans out, because I know that that's how he tweets through it. He tweets through it in his constant just roller coaster rides of up and down. So I tell him, y'all want to be tweeting this out? Just let it. It's okay. Just let the game flow. The ebbs and flows go. Yeah. But yes, Sooner Cowboy has definitely been hacked. Love you, Sooner Cowboy. We love you. And there's a good chance that the Thunder can give you that. Let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. We definitely want to hear y'all's thoughts. I closed this on accidente, but let me open it back up. I want to talk about the visitors that are coming in, because I think that does warrant a quick conversation, because Oklahoma does actually have a really good slate of visitors that a lot of you all have been wanting over the last few weeks. This is actually what y'all been asking for. And so let me go ahead and I'll pull up the official ones from On3 that they've listed, because I think that that's probably the fairest to go with. Let me see if 247 also has something. As y'all know, On3 and Rivals have all made like these massive changes or whatnot. It's like the weirdest thing in the world. It's going to be a very interesting world of stuff over the next few months It's going to be really weird. Yeah, 247 hasn't really updated theirs. They still have 16 visitors, where a lot of these players have committed places and they shut down everything, so they won't be doing visits. But we'll see who shows up. But this is what I know is supposed to be pulling up. And I give it to On3 because they do a really good job of keeping a lot of this stuff up to date. You've got Jay Coop, the borderline 5-star edge out of Florida down in IMG Academy. And I know that he and Miguel Chavis have a very good relationship. So I kind of have a feeling that may end up being a very good thing for Oklahoma. Jordan Clay, wide receiver, big wide receiver, 6'3", 190. The one that I'm the most hyped about, Valdon Sohn, the big boy from Sweden. He is listed to still show up. I don't think he made the Florida visit. I know he had like something that came up when I saw an article and he was at a tee and went back home. But it appears that he will be making the visit to Oklahoma. Cross fingers and toes that does happen. Of course, Taj Overton, the local boy from up in Owasso. Jaden O'Neal, as he's visiting Florida State this weekend, he's supposed to have an official, even though he was actually at camp on Friday. He was at the BV's camp on Friday. Then, of course, Brian Harris, who's recruiting some players to come with him. Zachary Turner, the athlete. Will Conroy's in town. Both the Jandreau brothers. Braden Presley from Tulsa, the big corner. Actually, he's bigger than 5'11". He's over 6 feet. I know that. He's the bigger Presley brother. He's bigger than his two brothers, which is fascinating. Lafayette, a small edge who we think has some very high upside. Kicker, Trace Rudd is going to be in town. And there's a few more that should show up. But these are the ones that we know that have locked in and have not canceled. Coop, anybody else you can think of that you expect to show up?
I think that we will have a couple more names chiming in here soon. If you get a late week, Bo Bentley type of situation happen, that could be something. I want to see if we can. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of names out there, and I know that Josh over at On3 is circling around. Trying to get that list updated. Usually that's going to, kind of get filled out throughout the week. But for the guys here, I want to see if we can close down Jandreau Bo. I want to see if we can get him on that. Want to see if you can lock down stuff with Sohn, Jake Cruel, fresh off of his visit to Ohio State this week. That's a big thing. Is you want to continue to develop that relationship and, push that towards our favor. Jordan Clay is a guy that's another big body receiver. Right now, a lot of Texas look to him, Texas or Baylor. I'm excited about some of these guys. I would rather it be a little bit of a smaller piece just because you want a chance to spend some quality time with a couple of these guys. And, I don't think that this is it for the events wise for OU recruiting in the month of June. I think that, something else could be in the works too. So hopefully I'd like to get a Presley brother. They seem to be guys who just find a way to, to make things happen. And so him being, the bigger of size, the youngest one, that would be a fun get. When I see that OU and K-State, obviously I think of the Lockett family.
Yes.
And being Tulsa area guys, and so we never really got a Lockett, and so this is our final chance to get a Presley.
I would love to get my hands on a Presley. Oklahoma State has done very well with them, and I would like for us to get one because they're all uber talented. Every single one I've seen are athletic as hell. Got typically breakaway speed, the ability to get out there in open space and make stuff happen. But at the same time, the other Presleys have all been smaller. This one I know is bigger than 5'11". Like, I can tell you in verification that he's bigger than his brothers. But, we'll see. He is supposed to be in town. I think he's listed. Yeah, he has himself listed as 6'2", 190. So I'm going to say he's about 6 feet tall at minimum.
Yeah.
And he's a corner. We like big
And
corners, right?
and if he can, if you get up over that, you start approaching that 6'1" deal. That's you look at all these bodies, and these bodies are ones that you've got Jim Nagy is looking at and saying, yes, we like that. We like that body. We like that body type. We like that frame. And we know that we can get weight on some of these kids. And so there's a lot of these guys who are going to need some work with Schmitty. And there's a lot of defense here too. So when you look across this, with Jake Cruel, Sohn, Overton, Brian Harris. I just shout out to Brian Harris. And if you haven't checked out the interview that we did with Brian Harris, just such a phenomenal kid, and good, well-spoken, head on his shoulders, likes himself some, a lot of family. He's from Brazil. And so, check that out if you didn't see our video with that. But again, the smaller piece, you have the coaching staff has had, dozens and dozens and dozens of conversations over the past couple of weeks for the camp. And so I'm pretty sure that they like to kind of narrow it down and just have a few guys that they can really zone in on.
Very fair point. Harris, I know, said Harris switched his visit weekend too because he specifically wants to peer recruit.
Yeah.
Which the massive deal that you have guys that are that interested in making sure that they're able to peer recruit guys that they want to play ball with. You can't beat that. Like that's what you want, right? You want guys to be able to say, yeah, I want to play ball with XYZ person. And then they're going to find a way to recruit said person in there with them. I like that. I mean, I know that is kind of the expectation. We saw that with Jay. Usually your quarterbacks do that. They're the ones that usually are your more likely ones to do that. And now you got a lot of defensive linemen who want to do that. Now, tweeting at players, not so much. That concerns me because that usually doesn't fare well in most things. But we had a good question in here. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5. Doyen, good question. It's not stupid. This is my philosophy. There's no such thing as stupid questions. Just those that don't ask them. So if you have a question that you want to, and it's a genuine one, I wholeheartedly want you to ask so you can learn something new.
100%.
I try to learn one thing new every single day, no matter what, at minimum one thing. And I've been blessed to be able to learn 8 or 9 things in a day sometimes. So, but on this question, when it says athlete, does it mean they play multiple positions or that they don't have a position in mind? It's a combination. Topher kind of answered it. They do play multiple positions, but most kids in high school play multiple positions.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of quarterbacks that play corner, but they're listed at quarterback in there. It's more so that they're not being recruited for a specific position. It's schools are going to kind of determine where they want them to play. And some schools will recruit them at corner, some recruit them at safety, some recruit them at wide receivers, some recruit them at running back. Some athletes are current quarterbacks that are being recruited for other positions. It's kind of a mix of that. So
it's Jaron Kanik. Think of Jaron Kanik. Was a guy who was kind of a utility, all offensive player, and you'll get to see a little bit of that this year. But the staff wanted him to play linebacker, so it was something with his body size, his frame. You think you can bring him in, and so typically the coaching staffs will say, "Hey, listen, what do you want to play?" to kind of get what the kid wants, and then they'll say, "Okay, well that lines up with what we're thinking," or we would like to give you a shot at safety, or we'd like to give you a shot at kind of an stand-up linebacker, maybe a hand on the ground type of hybrid type of guy. And that could be a thinner defensive lineman, or it could be a really, really big linebacker, or even, say with safety and linebacker, position. It could be a guy who, wants to play one or the other. And it's just what scheme do you have? And so how do you fit in our scheme? And then kind of what do you want? And I think that with our friend, Mr. Hunter, who is looks like he's having a blast in the NFL, Travis Hunter. He is a guy who was an athlete, but he was pretty bold with his and said he was a wide receiver slash defensive back. And we all know that he turned out to do both of them.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So you never it's all there's a lot of evaluation and decision that's made when it comes to that. So great question. Like I said, feel free to ask those. We're here to teach. We're always about that. So okay, Coop. We're about 25 minutes in. Once again, thank y'all for pulling up. Hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5, and happy Father's Day once again to all of you who have sent it to us. Hi to you all. We appreciate it. We're gonna talk future stuff. Now, I want to preface this conversation with two things. So this may be a light rant, but it shouldn't go too long. So hopefully you guys are with me. Yeah, Freddie, they are looking to give Braxton Lindsey an opportunity to play both sides of the ball. They've actually, he said that, and the team, I think, has professed that to him as well. So, all right, first off, as y'all know me, as you know, the way that I do things here is I try to make sure that not only I give credit to those who have boots on the ground, so shout out all the way to like OU Insiders, Sooners Illustrated, Sooner Scoop. They're always with the boots on the ground. Since me and Coop are typically not capable, but we appreciate, the footwork to getting those details. Also, if those that put out publications like the good old Bible that just dropped, our guy Phil Steele just dropped the Bible or whatnot. Now, I always get the early copy, so I've had this for a couple weeks. I've been reading through it, but there's a reason why I haven't dropped a video on it or shot any details, because out of respect to him and the work that he does, I like to make sure this stuff is on the shelf before we actually talk about it. So I'm a big proponent of making sure that people that bust their tails to put this stuff together, they get all the accolades, the respect, as well as, just acknowledgement that they put in work. Now, out of that, not only has he dropped his thoughts on the year ratings and ideas where Oklahoma and forecasts for Oklahoma, you've also got Kelly Ford, who drops his stuff on social media. We're going to lead with him, and then we'll come back and wrap up with Phil Steele, and then we'll close with me and Coop giving you our June predictions on the schedule, what we feel like could be potential toss-ups, what we could feel like could be potential wins, all of that jazz here on the coming season. And also we'll give you our final prediction once fall camp hits. That's when we'll have a good idea of who's back, who's not. We'll give you our final prediction going into the season, because, we always try to make sure that if the information that we receive changes, we can give you a more accurate prediction. We don't throw just ish on the wall. We like to make sure that we're treating our people with dignity and respect by actually doing our research. Anywho, let's start here, Coop. Kelly Ford actually spent some time over on that SEC show, one of the shows all of us thoroughly enjoy, Cousin Shane, as well as SEC Mike. We always appreciate the way they do things. Kelly went on their channel yesterday. Actually, I think Saturday.
Yes.
And he talked about the SEC, and he had some things about Oklahoma. So I'm going to put this up here so you guys can see his ratings he put out for the Sooners. Now, I want y'all to understand, similar to ESPN's FPI, this is more so a computer thought process on how the season could potentially go for Oklahoma. These are just based upon like running simulations and just the way the analytics go based upon the roster, who's their personnel, historical stuff over the last couple of years. A lot of different things go into it. This is not the end all be all, but it does give you an idea of where these teams can end up if they hit bare minimum expectations. For Oklahoma, a couple of things he points out here that got my attention. First and foremost, strength of schedule. Strength of schedule is set at 5th in the country, in his opinion, based upon his numbers. We're going to face top 5 ranked defense. So the defenses we faced, the level of them are considered to be ranked top 5 in everybody. The offense we're going to see are 14th. Special teams, 35th. Special teams, kicking, returning, blah, blah, blah. But I think this is the thing that jumps out to me and folks. We're going to look at two things, Coop. One, first off, where he predicts Oklahoma to be ranked on overall in both sides of the ball. Then the second thing is we'll look at how he thinks we will fare against our opponents. Sounds good? Let's lead the way with
Sounds
the
good.
first thing. Predicted rankings. He has Oklahoma to finish 16th in the country. Offense to jump from 83rd to 30th. Defense to be 12th, to jump up from 17th to 12th in the country. Won't really care much about special teams. Coop, when you see that jump from 83rd in the country offensive rank to 30th, how you feel about it?
I feel like you got to do it from the perspective of health first and foremost. We
Yep.
know the super well documented craziness that happened both on the offensive line and the wide receiver core last year. You come into the beginning of the season with Jackson Arnold, who is absolutely and completely unproven. You're putting your hopes in a freshman. You hope that the defense was going to rise a little bit. And that defense, ranked number 17, even with putting in overtime damn near every week. And so, that is, it's like those boys were welders, working on the Titanic. Those guys were putting overtime in, and not much help from the other side of the ball. Not much help from the special teams outside of our punter. That was a lifesaver quite often. But it also shows what respect that he has for John Mateer, for Ben Arbuckle. You bring in Fasusi and Foje, and I don't know if you guys have watched any of the Sooner Scoop stuff, and you've seen some actual real time looks at Foje. I believe that Josh said it looks like he's put on 15 pounds of muscle just since earlier in this year. So, it's. I don't know if there's going to be another jump like that on one side of the ball anywhere in the country, but it kind of goes to what all Sooner fans were saying last year. If we had anything resembling an offense, we could have done X, Y, Z.
Yep.
So it's good to see, because I promise you this, guys, and if this is where if you end up, 30 on offense, 12 on defense, you're looking at 9-3. You're looking at 10-2. If you can do that, plus the jump in special teams, I think that there is a lot to say that. Even though Jay, not a big special teams type of guy, but you've got increases on all sides of the ball. So based off this, you don't see any fallback. You don't see any but. You expect that the defensive line and the safety room are going to be two massive strengths of this team. It all depends on health on the outside, but then the linebackers, you had guys, in Kip and Kobe, Omasigo, Kendall Dolby, Reggie Powers is going to make his name well known this year. So it looks like a smile on my face in the fall if everything stays the same and you get guys healthy back.
Right. And that's the most important. So, and this is based upon, of course, again, these are based upon Kelly does his analytics for his ratings in comparison to others. And frightening, I totally understand. 12 is a high mark on ESPN's efficiency rating, and I think it was Warren Sharp's his defensive D score. We were top 10, so I don't think it's that high of a mark to do that on Kelly's. But I do expect the defense to be better. The offenses jump at 30 from 83 to 30. That's what fascinates me the most, because. And make sure you stick around for when we talk about Phil Steele. What Phil is saying, I'm actually buying now, because he did this in 23 for Oklahoma, and I'll explain that in a moment. But for Oklahoma to jump to 30, that means that the offensive line is to remain, for the most part, healthy. The defense... offensive line needs to actually maintain healthy. The wide receiver needs to maintain healthy, and the running back room needs to be going. I expect two of those three to easily happen. The offensive line, as you mentioned, Coop, Ryan Foje and Michael Fasusi have both just jumped out as big time. They've jumped off the screen, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms, when it comes to everybody at practice. They're like, these dudes are it. And they're basically ready to play as true freshmen. We're not going to throw them out there as true freshmen, but there is a good chance by later in the season you will see a lot of both of them. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Friday. You were thinking 12 points. No, not 12 points. He's talking about ranked in the top 12 in the country as a ranking, defensive ranking. My apologies. But the offense moving from 83rd up to 30 really is going to hinge on John Mateer. Now, we've both said this, and I've preached this. I know people don't like me spreading the hopium this way, but I've said this before. Even with John Mateer out there, God forbid something happens to him, Michael Hawkins having a second year, in his second year, now having a very QB-friendly offense, will probably he is guaranteed to be twice as good as he was last year.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
And if you've seen any of the videos of him stacking days, as his pops likes to say, the guy is jacked. He looks,
good.
He looks physically great. We always knew that he had great playmaking ability. Unfortunately, the South Carolina game threw everything off schedule and kind of put everything back into the back in the tumble mode. So you don't have that game. Who knows what is going to happen the rest of the season? And maybe the Jackson Arnold transfer news came a lot earlier. But I do think that having a competent offensive coordinator that you're working with, he's also learning from Mateer every single day at practice, every single time that they're going out to throw. He's watching him. Mateer knows how to run this offense, and so when it is time for Hawkins to take over, he's going to have a great grasp of the offense. You're also not going to have warring, fights on the sideline between your OC and your wide receivers coach, or your running back, or your offensive line. So there's a lot to see from that. But Jay, personally, I think at number 30, that is a most likely scenario.
Yes.
There's a chance
bare minimum.
It could be. Yeah, there's a chance. Maybe maybe early in the year you don't have some great stuff. Maybe some of the defenses, who I think across the SEC, I think the defenses are going to jump up a tad bit. I don't expect the Alabama defense to be worse than it was last year. I expect them to be better. You look at a couple teams like Ole Miss, maybe not as good. South Carolina, maybe not as good. But I will say this. It could also go higher. And, I'm not going to spread the hopium yet, because I think that I want to be able to, get a little bit further into camp in the fall before we start, really making some outrageous claims. But it looks like there's a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball, from Elijah Thomas, the freshman wide receiver, both of the Gibsons. You look at both of those guys, if they can come on the field and be healthy. Also Deion Burks. Everybody keeps on forgetting about Deion Burks. And, he's going to have a quarterback that can actually throw him the ball, with consistency. And he's not going to be the only guy that, the quarterback has. This could go higher, could go lower, but, it could go higher. So if we land at this, I think that you punch a ticket to the playoffs if this is what it ends up around.
Yeah, and this is bare minimum. Again, this is if Oklahoma hits the bare minimum of their capabilities this season. The expectation is at minimum 16. This is technically the floor. Hate to say it, but it kind of is. And mainly because the schedule is going to be tough, but look at it this way. All the home games, Oklahoma is roughly a favorite or right at a 49-51, which the LSU game, it shows that they are at the 49 spot. LSU would be 51. But all the home games, Oklahoma seems cool. The road games is where the questions come in. But I say this because on the road game piece, we don't know what Tennessee is going to look like offensively. We've got to wait and see. I do think, as you can see, his offense has them at 33rd, which that's kind of low if you're going up against a really good defense. The offense, their defense is going to be better because Tennessee brought back a lot, even though they lost James Pierce Jr. They still got some solid defensive pieces. I still have questions there, but I do think that they have a lot of good options there. Same thing with Alabama. I have questions on offense for Alabama outside of Ryan Williams. I need to see what the run game looks like. I need to see what the quarterback looks like. I need to see what Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
If he's the one that shows up, or it's going to be Keelan Russell. Keelan Russell, I think later in the season, if we did face him around this time, I would be nervous because I think Keelan Russell is going to be really special for them. But South Carolina, again, on the road, sure. I think Lenore Sellers is going to be good. It's going to be him and Nico Harbor. They don't have his Rocket Sanders, if I'm correct, is gone.
He's gone.
So that to me is questions. What does it look like there? Texas defense should be good. Their offense, we got to wait and see what Arch Manning puts together. They'll have Florida the week before, which to me, Florida's going to be a lot better than I think anticipating. I think Lagwade's got it if healthy. They make you nervous. It's one of those beating people up type deals. That's one of those games where you get beat up and then you got to come to the next week surviving a fight on the road. That South Carolina one, though, is where my questions come into what Oklahoma truly can look like going forward. They don't, like I said, they don't face a lot of top-tier offenses outside of LSU and Bama based upon these minimum rankings.
Projections, yeah.
Yeah, these projections. It's fascinating there. The defense side, though, 12th. This is what we told y'all. And I said it. We lose Stutzman, you lose Bowman, you lose the edges we lost. Downs, Caden Woolard, Trace Ford. Totally get people's feelings of, man, what makes, Kanai goes into the portal. You ask, all right, can this defense be better? They're still younger in the most part, but the defensive line should be one of the best, if not the best, in the SEC. Shout out to Phil Steele because he actually has Oklahoma rated as the top defensive line in the SEC right now. Same thing with Cole Kublik, but we'll get on that in a second. The bigger thing is that I expect this defense to statistically be better, again, because the offense will be way more confident.
Yeah.
Way more competent. You have a competent offense with good play calling that's in a quarterback-friendly system. And I think it'll be ran the best with Mateer because he has 3 years of experience in it. But I think Michael Hawkins will be able to run this bad boy as well.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for this defense to not be better than what they were last year. ESPN's defensive efficiency, and like I said, Warren Sharp's D-score, they were top 10. This team has the potential to be top 8 easily if the offense just does a really good job of not making them work overtime, like you said, Coop.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think that you look at the gains. You lose Ethan Downs, you replace him with Marvin Jones Jr. You have PJ. Again, this is probably a year that you need PJ to be the high 4-star, 5-star guy that he was recruited at. He has dealt with injuries. There have been a lot of expectations on him. I think that this year there's a good chance that there's so many different people that you're looking at. So, you want to be able to really just make sure that if that's the case, PJ just knows, hey, man, just play within yourself. You don't need to become, a 12-sack guy. You don't need to become all that. Just go out there and give me your best one snap at a time. G-Baby, David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Dom Williams. You've got a good amount of I think that we have 6 defensive tackles. So what's going to happen is, I think with this defense and where you need, where the offense gets some adjustments and some grace is this defense went out there and didn't have to face the onslaught of the true offenses that they were facing last year, because there didn't need to be a massive amount of urgency on the opposing offenses, because they knew that, hey, listen, this is a tough team. They need to turn us over. They need to get after the quarterback. They're going to blitz the absolute bejesus out of you. And so they could play on schedule and keep that. And there wasn't pressure from the other side of the ball. And we know that when you score on offense, you force people to sometimes get out of what they are. And so what that's going to mean is, I think that, the defensive rush yards are probably going to be a little bit on the lower side this year. They weren't that bad last year, but you saw when the defense got tired from doing the same thing over and over and over again. They did give up a little bit more. You saw teams like Auburn, you saw Ole Miss, you saw LSU really take advantage of the defensive backs and run a lot of crossers. But you had guys like Kanai Walker and Woody Washington out there running 4.6 pluses. And they were not going to be able to stay snap after snap after snap with some of these faster wide receivers in the league. So I think that that's going to help out because it's going to make people have to make adjustments, throughout the day when they're playing Oklahoma, because the offense is going to be actually out there doing something on their side of the ball. And if you get a 10, 14 point lead, that's where we need to see the defensive backs show up and be who they are and who they could be with the Gentry William and Eli Bowen. I expect KD to be over there on the corner side at times, maybe in the nickel spot. So you're going to need that stuff to happen because those guys may dictate where we are with the total defense. If they have struggles when it is a passing only attack, then that's going to make it harder to have that top 15 defense.
That's what's key is everybody's got to be able to add their piece. But if you have a defensive line that is getting the pressure that's needed, that's going to really help with the secondary and frightening. You're exactly right. Stutz did a lot of cleaning up. Him and Kip. And now I expect Kobe to be your stuffer on the run game. I expect Kendall Daniels potentially with Kip and a mixture of him and Sammy Mosigo being able to fill some of the shoes that Stutzman had. You'll have to have two guys do that, but I do think that they'll be able to clean that up very, very good. And that's the good thing is now the defense is legitimate. Everyone understands, no, this defense is good. Now you're going to have one of the best play callers in college football actually make his return to the sideline, and he'll do it. So, yeah, I expect Sammy to also make that big leap. The secondary, if you get a Gentry, we know Dolby will be back. If Gentry is back healthy, which it appears he is, and he's tweeting out that he's ready to go, big things are coming.
Ready to roll.
Eli Bowen's going to be healthy. You got him. So those three, I expect the secondary to be a heck of a lot better in coverage with the safety room we have, who's been fantastic going forward. Now, when you look at the games, I honestly think that middle slate is where it's going to be tough. Playing Texas is going to be tough. I think it's going to be better than the 19%. I think it's going to be a really good matchup between the two. Like I said, I think Texas defense is really going to be really good. We still need to see what the offense turns into, especially losing a couple people on the line. But I think it's going to be solid. I mean, actually, Friday, that holdback guy could be Goodwin or Coach Dreiling. You got two linebacker coaches who could probably do that for him now. So I think we've got a pullback guy, to be absolutely honest. I think it'll be one of them. It's usually the strength guy that does it because that's the only one that BV won't fight. But he's gotten better about that. So it'd probably be one of those linebacker guys that'll be in his way and allow him to just call everything. And the good thing is Buckle is good on running offense. He's got Kevin Wilson in his ear to help him, who was a former head coach for a couple spots. So he's going to be able to help with being better about game management, which in those moments is a lot tougher than people think when you're thinking about 80 different things. But I think the Texas game is going to be a lot more intriguing. This South Carolina one, I think we can pull this one out. My questions on South Carolina is their defense is going to probably take a step back. They had 8 starters return last season, and from the season before into last season, and a lot of them are gone to the pros. You've got Dylan Stewart, who is a freak. That's about it. You're breaking in young players, secondary, linebackers. I think their defense takes a step back this year. Next year, I think they're more of a force because then they can really build around Dylan Stewart. So I think Oklahoma can pull that one. I ain't got no faith in Ole Miss. I don't care what they did in the portal. I saw what they did in the portal last year. We almost had them with a very incompetent offense. I ain't calling that. In Tennessee, it's still questions. Lots of questions there. Even in Neyland, it's still questions. I want to see what Joey Aguilar looks like. If Joey Aguilar shows up, then maybe, because I think he ends up winning the starting job over the other guys. So I don't know.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I would say also with Ole Miss, I think that their offense could, be about what it was last year. Jackson Dart, he looked very pedestrian in that first half, against us, and there were a lot of games to where there were a lot of head scratching going on. But like you said, you lose Walter Nolan. He got hurt early in the game against us. But I also think that there's going to be a ton of pressure right now on Ole Miss this year, and I'm wondering if you know their coach has a tendency to kind of turn into a little bit of a joker when things aren't going his way and people start kind of slinging it back at him. Um, Alabama, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes, but again, this is now 2 years removed from Alabama. I think from Nick Saban. What does this environment and what does this team look like? They kept a lot of guys on campus. Yep. Did they stay because they're kings of Tuscaloosa? Did they stay because they really love Kalen DeBoer? Kalen DeBoer is a very very good offensive coach, and now he has something a little bit more his flavor. I don't know what are you showing here. You're showing a little Twitter action, and it looks like
I'll make it to Twitter. That's on. There you go. I'm
I don't know if that was
Kelly Ford's.
Is that your screensaver, that fellow?
Yeah, it is. That was my screensaver. But continue.
Okay. But yeah, you look at these things, and again, I want to say that these are all projections based off of what everybody feels like is going to happen as of now. We all know that the fall giveth and the fall taketh. We saw it last year, and so it'll be interesting to see what does this OU team do in the fall to avoid, that catastrophic injury. Are there guys who, once we get closer to football, and Ivan Carrion, Zion Kearney, are there guys like that you look at and you go, okay, these guys now smell the fall coming and they know that this is their opportunity to, have some revenue share on, the investment of this team. And those guys who put in some time, they were asked to be, something that they didn't plan to be last year. Bo Bentley, goodness gracious, John Mateer, they look the same. These guys look very, very, very similar. What you're going to see, and we've talked about it before, I say it all the time, when you got a quarterback that you really believe in that can give you a great chance, those guys are going to produce, they're going to give their all. And he makes people look better. And I can't wait to see what he looks like on the field with, the talent that Oklahoma has.
That's the thing that's most interesting is there was a stat that put out there, Mateer's time at Washington State, he played with 0 blue chips.
Yeah.
Here he's got 46. And that's just on the O.
Yeah.
So he's going to be playing with a lot more. Now he's playing against a heck of a lot more talent on the opposite side of the ball in competition. But having one of the better defenses in the country, and that's who you're kind of warming up with against, should help you. Now, last thing, conference schedule-wise, in the CSD over there, you'll see underneath all the teams that Oklahoma does not play, Oklahoma has a conference schedule difficulty rating of 4. 4th out of everybody. Vanderbilt is number 2. I believe the number one in the SEC is like Mississippi State. They've got the most difficult in-conference schedule, mainly because they see literally everybody. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida, Texas, Georgia, some of the teams they consider going to be good, like Ole Miss, Missouri, Arkansas. Theirs is tough. Like, I'm surprised that them not seeing Alabama actually keeps them at the number 1. But they're number 1. Vandy's number 2. And that's what I actually was looking for. I was trying to figure out who is the number 3 one on that list. It's most likely...
I say Florida. You said Florida, Mississippi State. Okay.
Florida's lower than us. Florida's 5th. We're 4th.
Okay.
Vanderbilt's 2, Mississippi State's 1. So I'm assuming number 3 on that list. Let me try to think. SEC teams that could possibly fall to.
Would it be Arkansas?
It's probably Arkansas. Let me go find Arkansas real quick on it just so I can confirm that it is them. But it probably is Arkansas. Makes sense if it was Arkansas because their schedule is actually pretty brutal. But anyway, when you lay it out like this, right, Freddie? When you lay this out, schedule isn't as grueling as people think. We have a lot of optimal spots, and we'll go through our ups and who we think's going to win or loss. But let me talk some Phil Steele. Thanks for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. I want to talk about Phil Steele and his predictions. So when I talked about it before, Phil Steele had Oklahoma as his. In 2023, Oklahoma was his number 2 surprise team in college football. He said that Oklahoma would bounce back from the 6 and 7 season under Brent Venables for the first year. He felt like with all the returning players that Oklahoma was poised to make some noise in college football. And guess what? Oklahoma finished the season 10-2. That's a huge jump. 6 and 7, 10-2. And Phil said that's why he had them as his top return, his surprise team, because they everything returning and everything, the way things lined up this year compared to last year is so much more optimal. Last year, Phil still said that we weren't going to be very good. He had questions around the offensive line. He had questions around the skill spots. And the biggest question for him was quarterback. We need to see what these quarterbacks look like. And ironically, Phil still was pretty spot on the struggles that came through. Now, he didn't predict the injuries, but he did predict that youth would cost us these games. And truth be told, because of the injuries, youth cost us a lot of games.
Yeah.
Defense did their job. This year, the number 1 surprise team for Phil Steele is Oklahoma. He expects Oklahoma to finish in the top 10. And when I saw that, Coop, I was 100% in shock. Did not expect it. Did not think that this was going to be real. It felt a little bit more like there's absolutely no way Phil Steele feels this about Oklahoma. And sure enough, he does. We are his number 1 team when it comes to surprises. And in his top 40 for the preseason, where do you think he has Oklahoma finishing? I'm going to show it in a second, but I want you to tell me who you think where he finishes.
Top 40. Now, I have not looked at this yet.
Nope.
Again,
It's not looked through it.
Mine has sat out in the truck for a few days. I'm going to go with 9th.
Fantastic. 9th. He has Oklahoma as his number 9 team.
I was right.
In the country.
Dang.
He thinks Oklahoma does finish number 9.
Mic drop. I'm out.
He thinks Oklahoma finishes top 10. He actually thinks Michigan finishes right behind us at number 10 in the country. But this is preseason top 40. It's not his power rankings. It's just one of his many different ranks that he throws out there in predictions. He sees Oklahoma finishing. Oklahoma's his number 1 surprise team. And a lot of things that he has written in here makes a lot of sense. Most improved, he has Oklahoma as number 3 is the most improved on his sheet. Everything you can name about Oklahoma being better, he's pointed it out. The one big one he pointed out even in the SEC is that he does think Oklahoma makes the playoffs. He thinks Oklahoma makes the playoffs, which is kind of crazy to me. I am not ready to say that yet, and it's not because I'm hedging or anything like that. I need to see this come to fruition like you all. I try to be a realist in all of our conversations, but Phil Steele has given us the look of he thinks that Oklahoma is going to finish as a top 10 team, and he thinks that they make the playoff. They're going to be the big surprise for him. Last time he had Oklahoma as a surprise, they were a big-time surprise. He also has Oklahoma finishing 4th in the SEC, behind Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, tied for 4th with LSU and Texas A&M. The tiebreaker being that we outdo Texas A&M, we beat LSU, which would be the one that leads us up, and 9-3 gets Oklahoma into the playoffs easily.
100%.
10-2 is what you want to go for, though. 10-2 guarantees a spot, similar to Tennessee last year. But having a veteran quarterback in a system that he's been in for 4 years is a difference maker.
100%.
He thinks Oklahoma's defensive line is going to be one of the best in the country. I think he has his top 5 in the country, tops in the SEC right now when it comes to defensive lines.
Like to see who is up there. I'm guessing Penn State, probably one of the top ones. Texas is going to have a good defensive line. I don't know who else I would have up there.
I know, right? That's a tough one. Let me go pull up his defensive lines. I'm actually pulling up the Let's see. He's got the schedules. Top individual units, defensive line. Oh, I was wrong. My bad. The number 1 defensive line in the country in Phil Steele's eyes is Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Clemson's number 2, Penn State's number 3,
Clemson
Notre Dame's
was the
number
next one.
4, and Michigan is number 5. SEC wise, Oklahoma's 1, Alabama's 2, Texas is 3, Florida's 4, Georgia's 5.
Yeah.
On the defensive lines. So we have one of these better defensive lines. He likes Texas linebacker room as the top one in the SEC. Oklahoma is the second one in the SEC, 4th in the country. Secondary, we are number 20 in the country, and it's all because our corners are not proven yet. Texas has the number 6 DBs in the country for Phil Steele, which I like. And then when you go to the offensive side of the ball, which is there's too many questions, just got to be understanding. All of these are just initial thoughts until we see them on the field. O-line is 35th in the country. Not top 10 in even the SEC. That'll be A&M, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, which they're bringing concern a lot of people, so they should be good. 5th is being Georgia, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, and then Oklahoma. So number 9 in the country on offensive line. Quarterbacks, Oklahoma's 8th in the country. So Phil still really likes where our quarterback position looks. Definitely understand that. Right? Like,
and Jay, say that because I know that one of the questions is, yeah, but can Mateer do it against a top defense? And you put out there the other day about how many defenses that John Mateer went up against that were tougher than defenses that Georgia was.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I have to find that tweet, but there was there's a lot more than people think when it comes to that. Like, Mateer actually saw some pretty decent defenses. Would I say that they're like the best? No, but I will say that Mateer actually given
They set me up. I was
us.
talking crazy before.
He's given us enough data to understand just how
Let's go, baby.
good.
Hey, we're hopping around. We're hopping around. Get your depth. Get your
Washington
depth.
game
Get your
was an
depth.
example.
Good.
Washington.
Find it. Good. Kearney. Good.
Hey, we hear the audio on
Hey,
this too.
Vaughn,
It's just kinda
underthrow.
drowning
Go
you out.
attack the ball. Be big. Do it again. Boom. Shuffle with depth.
That's
Get
my
your feet under you. I love it. Look, Auburn has the shrubs. We have the thorn bushes at our practice field.
But anyway,
Be a good reason not to drop a ball or throw a bad ball. Can
Still
y'all
running.
hear me on this thing?
Still running.
Still running?
Yep. Arbuckle just said, "Can you hear me on this thing?" So he knew that we were going to be doing it.
That's funny. I guess they didn't want to mute itself, so that's my bad. We'll bring that out later. Anyway, that's funny.
Still playing.
You still playing in the background?
Yeah, I
For
just
you?
closed that bad boy up.
That's funny.
There we go.
You hear? Oh, I say I don't think they heard you. I just think you heard it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, everybody, if you think that I'm crazy. I am, but
Coop is
I
a
digress.
lunatic. That is exactly what. Yeah, it was just you. It wasn't them.
Okay, good.
That's funny. Because I know that I did definitely mute that, but yeah. Anyway, Washington's defense was a lot better than expected. That wasn't the greatest. I'm not saying that it was the best out there, but they did pretty solid in their conference. Hell, they did beat, didn't they? They beat Michigan, didn't they?
Who?
Washington.
Oh, let me check.
Let me look. Washington Huskies.
Michigan lost, yeah.
Yep.
27-17.
Now, I mean, they were abused by Penn State. Same thing with Oregon as well as Indiana and Iowa and Rutgers. But that win was pretty big for them. And then of course, they lost to Washington State. So it kind of embarrasses them in the highest manner that they lost them. But they beat USC. Y'all remember that? Remember, Mateer has played against some actual solid competition. I'm thinking everybody's going to be like, we didn't hear anything. Oh, y'all heard it? So Les said they did hear it. So my bad. That's on me. I thought I had that bad boy muted. But anyway, these two guys are the most important things for Oklahoma. If Mateer and Arbuckle shows up, if you get these type of throws, you get these type of completions, Oklahoma has a good chance. And so Phil Steele, like I said, loves what Oklahoma has to offer. He's extremely high on most of our units. RB unit, I think the running back unit is listed as number 5 in the country. The number 5 running back unit in the country. That's Ott, Xavier Robinson, so X-Rob, Tatum. Yeah.
Barnes.
Yeah, and my bad, Coach Powers. Yes, your Huskies did beat Michigan, and that's what was important. Barnes. And having a veteran like Barnes actually kind of helps a little bit more than people think. I actually am happy at the fact that Barnes is back a lot more than others. I don't expect him to play much, but it's good to have someone that's that level of a veteran. You know what I mean?
Well, he's a thumper too, and you got to think that like you get a team on the ropes. Going in, coming out of the third quarter. You can send in Javante Barnes, and we know that Javante's wiggle has always been a little bit of a question, but he will run up and catch some people. And as long as he can, pick a hole and go down, he's going to put his body on the line. And this is going to be his last year, and who knows what his opportunities in the NFL are going to be. But he's going to be working for the opportunity to, go and get a chance to be on a practice squad, to just get a chance, because I think he could be a number 2 back, in the NFL, some short yardage pieces, a great scout team guy for, when you're going up against bigger guys.
Yep. 100%. And I love the fact that, in the wide receiver room, he understands how good Deion Burks can be. He said a healthy Deion Burks really is going to be big, with Burks and Gibson returning and adding the transfers. Everybody thinks Satania is going to be that dude. I mean, I think we even feel that exact same way, right? We think that Satania may be a bigger threat than people realize.
Well, I mean, if you get the opportunity to run, Giovanni's on the outside, and then have Satania and Burks as crossers. You think of having maybe a Kanik at an H-back type of a situation, or, just a split out 2 and a 5-wide look. That is going to be crossers clearing out the middle. How do you stay with Satania and Burks, going across, running crossers? You got the guys going deep, so safeties are going to have to shade out. So now you're going to have a situation where you have Kanik, as a potential one-on-one, or even an Ott out of the backfield as a one-on-one against either, a safety or a linebacker. And we've seen what Ott can do. If he gets any type of angle on you, he's gone. And then the downfield blocking takes over. Or Kanik, if you go back and watch those, his high school film, dude trucks some people. And if you give him just, an easy, release catch, 6-7 yards past the offensive line, defensive line, and now you are a safety looking to one-on-one square him up. I promise you, Kanik is crazy enough that he will just go put his head right into that guy's chest, and it makes business decision time a little bit, more, tentative the next time around.
It does. It does. And business decisions is something that we hope a lot of people make when you come to this one. The other thing is his offensive line should be a heck of a lot better with these 2 dudes.
Hey,
just
also,
like I said, young guys.
Yeah.
Young guys. That's the key thing, is that you got 2 young guys that you feel comfortable playing immediately. Even better, you've got a full veteran offensive line that has gotten their tail kicked in the SEC and know what to do. They've also kicked tail in the SEC. So they know both sides of it. They know which way to go when it comes to how to prepare, and they understand what they need to do to be better. And I like the fact that they've listened and they've learned. But when you got Fogier and Fasusi right there ready, who's going to be pushing the guys in front of them, chance they can play.
Yeah, and hey, shout out to Bill Bedenbaugh. He is slimmed up in the off season. I think Bill's down, 25-ish pounds. He looks slim, and he looks like a guy who is just taking the season, as more than just football success, but personal success too. So, again, the offensive line is going to be, what we said last year. It's going to go and stop with them. If those guys can, become one of the better units in the country, one of the better units in the SEC, it gives us an absolute, another piece of quality, upgrade that we didn't have last year. And Jay, what's kind of fun about it is you got a lot of dudes across the board who are ready to go. You have Ben Howland, you have Heath Lozada, you've got both Jacob Sexton, Jake Taylor. All those guys are out there. You still have EPL wants to get on the field. I mean, it is an absolute opportunity for this offensive line to prove that they took the lesson from last year and they have improved.
Yep. And Chuck, more so, Ott's your starting running back. That's kind of why, with Barnes, I'm glad he's back. He's a senior. I don't think transferring would have done much for him.
No.
So you get a veteran who is a leadership, who is going to work hard. There's a good chance he could play. Still, he could go out there. We just don't know. I really don't. I know that it's Ott. I know you got to see X-Rob as well as Tatum. It's going to be mixing 4 backs. And then Blaylock. I've been quiet about the true freshman, but I know the kid is nice. I know he's nice.
He is very, very,
nice. Torrey Blaylock is nice. But the question is his frame ready for SEC ball yet? But no, I get what you're saying too, Chuck, like, being politically correct on that of, I'm glad he's back, may not play. It's really, like I said, like you just mentioned, it's really the leadership component of him. I think because of the injuries that Barnes has sustained throughout college, which has really hampered him most of this time, he's probably looking at the coaching route. He may try to go hit some camps, see if he can, revive himself as an undrafted free agent. But I think for him, it's going to be the coaching route. So for him, if he's focusing on coaching, then what? Boom. He's going to be teaching those other backs how to continue to work hard, hit the right holes. Just because he's not fast enough doesn't mean you can't tell somebody else how to do it, right?
Yeah.
DeMarco Murray's an anomaly in the coaching world, that he was a really good NFL running back. And, he's shown us that he has a lot of kids that want to follow in his footsteps. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We just got to go ahead and close the deal. All right, Coop, let's wrap this up. Put a bow on it. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. New to the channel, subscribe. Rate, review, give us 5. We're going to cut these last few minutes. Could be a little bit longer. Let's look at the schedule. June, look. We want to go. That SEC show's already gone through and pointed out guaranteed losses. They've pointed out losses. They pointed out toss-ups, and they taught up guaranteed wins. Now we know we're gonna just keep it a buck here, and that we try to be as fair as possible around these streets. But we're gonna be 100% honest here. There's 3 wins on this schedule: Illinois State, Kent State, Temple. All 3 of those teams have dealt with coaching changes, fires, new players on the roster, all of that. So we ain't going to pretend like they ain't guaranteed wins, Coop. That's your 3 wins. Yeah. Now, based upon the analytics, a lot of everybody's got us beating Michigan. Same thing with Auburn. That's 5. That's starting the season 5-0. Very good chance. Now, Auburn's got a really good offensive line because it's more veteran, good wide receivers. The question is, what's their quarterback play going to look like, and can their defense play well also? They brought in a lot of transfers too, but 5-0 heading into Red River. They had Red River as a loss, LSU as a loss. Every other conference game is a toss-up. Coop, as the start with the toss-ups, which direction do you think these games can go for your toss-ups? Michigan first.
Michigan first. So Michigan is Michigan is a team that had the offensive woes that we had, maybe even worse last year. They had Edwards on the cover of the video game, and their offense was really, really bad, even with a decent running attack. They get a chump before playing us, so it's not like we have to catch them after. I think they are playing New Mexico, week 1, Saturday, August 30th. Then they come to the crib. Now I will say this: Michigan is coming to Oklahoma on September 6th. Unless it's raining, it's going to be hot as hell. And those boys, they don't understand that. They don't. I mean, that's a number one. Whoever you have coming in at quarterback, whether it is the $5 million freshman or in Underwood, or I can't remember the other transfer that they got, but whoever it is it going to be a game manager or a freshman? And you're not going to tell me that this defense isn't ready to put a marquee win on their in their belts. So I see this as a game that both these teams are going to come in. They're going to fill each other out, and I think OU pulls away comfortably. I see this as a 10-point plus win.
Same. I don't. So for them, it's Bryce Underwood's going to be the starting quarterback. They brought in Mikey Keene, and I don't think Mikey Keene was brought to actually play. Jaden Davis is still young, and Davis Warren is still on the roster. Two guys who have been in the offense before. Warren's a redshirt senior. Davis is a redshirt freshman. But I don't think either. Yeah, I don't think Mikey Keene is going to actually play for them. I'm just going to say that. And that is a insurance play, because you want to make sure that your true freshman is ready to go. And Mikey Keene was decent at Fresno State, and I emphasize the word decent. He threw for 2,800 yards, 18 touchdowns, 11 picks. Yeah.
We saw Nico last year, and Nico was touted as that dude, right? Yep. It was him taking over the offense.
In a very quarterback-friendly offense too. Keep that in
mind. and they took the ball out of his hands. Yep. After who was it? After RSJ, Robert Spears Jennings, on a blitz, hit him in the elbow. I think that was one of the turnovers that we turned around and gave it right back to them on. But after that, it was no longer about going and beating Oklahoma. It was holding on for dear life. Yep. It was not making any more mistakes.
Yep.
And so Michigan lost a lot. They lost the cornerback. Is his last name Washington? Is that right?
No.
No.
Is it? It was
Johnson. Will Johnson.
Will Johnson.
Will Johnson. Yeah. So they lose him. They lose top 10 pick on the defensive line. They lose a couple other guys, but Michigan reloads on those lines. Those are big time Big Ten defensive linemen. I just don't see a freshman coming in here and finding much success against this team who actually can play complementary football.
Yeah, shout out to Sharon Moore,
and
100% focus has always been making sure that he's got a really good offensive line. I'm not even going to question him when it comes to that. I'll do a deep dive. Huh?
I was going to say, Jay, also, and Topher pointed it out. I didn't want to really bring it up, but since Topher said it in here, there's some rumors that Underwood's having the issues with the body. He is having a little, Dallas Luka Doncic. Good God, I can't talk at all today. But he is showing up a little soft and not taking the fitness plan as well. So it's going to be minimum of 95, 96 degrees. For that game, and you bet your sweet butt, even at 6:30, he's gonna have to have that fitness right. So maybe he gets it better, but again, I still, regardless of in shape or Pillsbury, I think it's gonna be a tough task for Michigan.
Yeah, he's gonna be a little fluffy. We know that. So, but yeah, in that heat, it's gonna be tough for them. Then when it comes to that. So I got Michigan losing that. I think that's going to be a double-digit one. I think right now we are 1-point favorites in that game, or 1-point dogs. I think DraftKings dropped their early spreads on that one. I haven't seen anything on FanDuel. Haven't seen anything on BetUS yet for that particular game. Because, I mean, of course, opening weekend, we're like probably – I don't think we even have a spread up for opening weekend for us. So just don't even look for it. But I do expect us to move I expect us to move more as a favorite after the first week. All you got to do is see what Mateer can do. That's really the biggest question. No one cares about anything besides what the heck is John Mateer? Is John Mateer going to be as good as advertised? If Mateer is as good as advertised, then yeah, we'll be fine in that capacity. From there, Auburn. Oh yeah, Sean. BV likes blitzing young quarterbacks, and that we'll have another one back to back. You got Auburn. Auburn comes in roster wise. Let's see. Let's pull up their depth. Then pull up their depth chart right now. I'm looking at it. This one's a good one, Coop. They got a lot of transfers in. They got in 5 players that should be transfers on offense. Returning a lot of defensive players, but their offensive line, they brought in 3 offensive linemen that are transfers that could start with 3 more that could be backups. And then true freshmen. Now, the line is supposed to be the best line they've had in a bit. But it's all going to hinge on Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, or Deuce Knight, which I've heard Deuce Knight may be winning that job. That is now I know that they don't want Deuce Knight to start on the road against Baylor. But by that time, I have a feeling Deuce Knight wins that job. And I think they brought in 2 more quarterbacks, too, out of the portal. If you want me to be honest.
Yes.
No, it was Ole Miss that was dealing with injuries at quarterback. My mistake. All right.
They do have Deuce Knight, and I think they brought in another dude at Auburn. So they're going to have 3 guys in there. But let's hop in because Auburn has South Alabama the week before. So again, they're not looking at a juggernaut, the week before playing here. If it's Jackson Arnold, motivation ain't going to get it done. He is going to have to be the stories about a mom lifting up a car off the baby type of adrenaline rush to play out of his mind. I don't think that whether it's him or Deuce Knight, I don't think that they can do this. They do have Lambert. They do have Coleman. Those are some good wide receivers, and if they can find a guy to give them opportunities, that's what you should do. But I do think this is Lambert. No, did he leave?
He graduated.
He was a senior. That's right. There was another one. Who's
They got Eric Singleton Jr. though from Georgia Tech, who is good. He is a legitimate good player. That's who I know. That Singleton with Cam Coleman and Michael Simmons. I think Keandre Lambert is with the Chargers.
All right. So disregard that.
It's all right. Yeah, it happens to the best of us. But on that, they've got some solid wide receivers. The offensive line is where I'm curious to see what it turns into with all these transfers in. And in their running back room, Damari Alston is going to be a very intriguing running back for them. I know they got in a back. Was it Darrell Robinson? He transferred in this year. So they don't have.
They got some big size at tight end. Yeah, big size at tight end too. Yeah, but Jaquez Hunter. Yeah, he is. Who I think probably one of the best running backs in the SEC last year. And they just could not find the intelligence to keep giving that man the rock and give it to him in appropriate times. And Peyton Thorne was Peyton Thorne, but you're either going to have a freshman or worse than Peyton Thorne out there.
I don't blame Peyton Thorne for his play there when their head coach should have known that was going to happen. That has been my take on all of that. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You know your quarterback. Yeah, if you know you got questions, don't be that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. You don't do that. So I'm giving Auburn the W. I think we beat Auburn. I think we take them down. We should go into Red River at 5-0. That's now the game. That's the question. What do you think about Red River now, Coop?
Well, this is the one where they got Florida the week before. I'm not sure who they have that following week. Who do they have after? Because I feel like they had a little bit of an easier game.
They have a cake game the following week is when they actually get to get a break. They actually have they travel to Kentucky after us.
Okay, so they know it's going to be lunch pail game afterwards.
In theory, it should be an easier game, while at the same time, Kentucky is infamous for being a very physical team.
Yeah.
That's it. If anything, Mark Stoops does very well there is they're always physical.
Yeah. This is your rivalry game. Does not matter in this one. Last time you go into, was it 3 years ago, Dylan Gabriel gets his concussion. Who was it? TCU, right? They're the concussion distributors against the Sooners. You got an H-back playing quarterback. You have two guys who came in and never did anything anywhere else at quarterback. Late in the game, I think you had it was that the Eric Gray. Eric Gray was they were moving the ball up and down. You just literally get to a spot to where you condense the field and all the trickery. Nothing else is happening. They come back the next year. OU wins. Then last year, again, kind of same thing. Is you have a Michael Hawkins starting the Red River game, tight game. We moved up and down, missed field goals, and again, you have Brent Venables on the sideline yelling, "We have to score if we're going to win this game," to his defense. It's a rivalry game. This one it continues to be a toss-up. What does Texas look like? What does Arch look like? What does that offense look like? I don't want to say that Arch is going to replicate numbers that he's had in the past, but this is a guy who has never thrown for even 3,000 yards anywhere in high school or anything like that. He came in against a couple of teams that were lower quality teams, and he didn't lose the game for them. Now everything's on his shoulders. It's Heisman national championship. A lot of people have them with high expectations. I think a lot of that's with the defense and the receiver play that they have. So as of right now, I would still say that Texas has the advantage over OU, but I still think that this is one that I expect could go either way.
Yeah, me too. I think there's a lot of could go any way in this one as well. When you look at the actual depth chart, the offensive line has one returning starter in DJ Campbell. Yes, Jonathan, we did put Oklahoma. Put Oklahoma beating Michigan. They have one returning starter on the offensive line in DJ Campbell. Baker's is moving up, sophomore. Cole Hunter replaces Majors. Umio Zulu comes in at guard, replacing I always forget Connor Hayden. That's who it was.
Connor.
And then your left tackle, you've got Gooseby, who's solid. He's going to replace a nice and strong Kelvin Banks, who got drafted in the first round.
And I think Majors is a big loss too. Majors is a guy who I think got hurt 2 years ago, or right before the Red River game. He went out, or he tried to tough it out, try to get it out. And I think that they had snap issues. They had some interior protection issues too. For OU to win that game, they are going to have to bring out that type of fire like they did 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And truth, we're not saying that. Look, you're taking this completely wrong. Did they have starting snaps? Yes. Did they start the entire season? No. That's a difference. Like, they weren't the initial set of starters, is my point. For Oklahoma, we have 10 players with starting experience on the offensive line. I'm not saying that. I'm pointing out the guys that actually started majority of the season are the ones that I'm focused on. The ones that back them up, that had a start, 5 starts, 3 starts, 4 starts here. They still need experience. So yeah, your line has played together for a while. That's the good thing. My point still stands. You're replacing all but one starter, like for the entire, for like majority of the game season. That's what I'm saying. Is that for us? We played a whole bunch of true freshmen and redshirt freshmen who had 0 starts last year going into the game. Now they've got hundreds of snaps. So my point, not that I didn't say anybody sucked. I'm saying that you're replacing your entire offensive line. That's really it, besides DJ Campbell. Now, I know Gooseby is good. I've seen him play some starter snaps, and he's been good in some games. He wasn't Kelvin Banks. We'll just say that. And then Baker, we'll see what he turns out to be. But, yeah, you got that line. They're experienced with Arch Manning, which is what's most important. Arch is going to be your most important thing. Bringing in a new tight end and injuries, and that just tears me up. That kid's going to be good. I like him. Tight end from Cal. He's good. He's going to be real good. And Sark does a really good job with scheming your tight ends open. Does a really good job of that. That's what's important. Defense-wise, though, to me, the struggle for Texas is going to be just the interior. That's why they brought in 5 transfers, which is still wild to me. Of course, you got Simmons and Hill, Trey Moore. I like Taffy as well as Muhammad in the secondary. I actually like Kobe Black a lot. I think he should fight over Jalen and try to get his way into as a starter, but the defense is going to be the anchor for Texas, period. They're going to be the anchor. Same for Oklahoma. They'll be the anchor. But it's also Red River. So it's toss-up. We were supposed to lose the one in 23. At least that's what I was told by everybody. No chance Oklahoma wins that game. Oklahoma won that game. So if this is the most improved one since that team, I think Oklahoma can steal this W. I think they can. Mainly because the OC and the quarterbacks played together for 3 years. And now we're just teaching the wide receivers, and this is a way more friendly offense in comparison to last year. So I think Oklahoma can steal it. We'll mark that one as a W. What about you, Coop?
I'm still too early to. I mean, I want to see what is all this.
This is very early, Coop. We're purposely going super early.
I mean, can Oklahoma win this game? I think that yes, with the defense and a competent offense. I don't care what anybody says, especially you, Truth. Arch Manning hasn't done what John Mateer, and it's not even been close. Arch Manning came in no pressure games against nobodies, and he also had a big run. He was like the Belldozer situation, but I also find it very, very hard that if your job is to win games and your job is to win a national championship, and Arch could not take over for Quinn Ewers last year, man, I just have a hard time saying he's going to win the Heisman this year after not unseating Quinn last year, especially once you got him out on the field. So I think that this is a situation just like the 23 game. I think it is a last team with the ball, and I feel much better this year with what we have at quarterback, because it has been proven. It's been on the field. It's a continuation. We didn't go from Jeff Levy to a freshman with an absolute just moron as an offensive coordinator. And also, I just don't see a world where you lose the entire offensive line and wide receiver core before your 5th game of the season.
Yep. All right, next game. South Carolina. Very interesting one. They returning production wise, South Carolina coming into the spring, they are 82nd in the country on defense with 49% coming back, 33rd in offense with 66%, overall 58%, 58th in the country. Now, let me point out why I said what I said about Texas on the offensive line. ESPN's Bill Conley does these calculations on returning production. Texas is 109th in the country at 40% returning production on the offensive side of the ball. Just saying. That was my point. But it's early. We'll see what it all turns into. South Carolina, the defense is to me where you really get it with them. Like they got 4 projected starters on the defensive side of the ball that are transfer. Of course, Brownlow Dindy, the former OU commit, OU legacy, who went around a few places, but he'll be expected to start right there on the line with Xavion Hardy. They kind of have to refresh a lot. Now, corner-wise, they still got Judge Collier as well as a transfer and Brandon, Sicey? I'm intrigued at what their defense actually looks like with Dylan Stewart and Brian Thomas coming back. That, to me, is where because they had to they brought in new linebackers. They got in a lot of transfers on defense. Like this is, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is what I see so far. Cool. 13 transfers on defense. That's a lot.
That's a tall task. But Jay, here's where I think that this one is a W for OU. The week before us, they have LSU, and then Oklahoma, and then Alabama. Bang, bang, bang.
Oof. They're at home, but yeah.
We complain about some of these things in our schedule, but you're at LSU, so Death Valley. I'm guessing if they got a good record, that's going to be a later game. You have then us, and then home at home against Alabama too. So South Carolina last year, they were really, really nails with Alabama the week before. Obviously we were able to watch the Alabama game, before before we were, done with the state fair. But I think that this is a deal to where we didn't have to really watch their offense last year. Before their offense really had to get out and do anything. They're up by 21. And that makes you, pretty free, and you're grasping for every opportunity, on defense. 13 transfers on defense. That's a tall ask, because you're asking 13 different guys who knew 13 different systems to come in and learn a new system. And I just got to feel that you're going to have him going up. Dylan Stewart, he's going to be up against those offensive linemen for LSU, and as a human, how do you not think like I got to pace myself a little bit for that type of stretch? Yeah. I obviously think that if you're in a tight game with South Carolina, I don't know if I really expect Lenora Sellers to have all his bag ready and going. I feel like that's those grinding pressure moments. Every single move is big, and so I'm going to chalk this one. This one I feel is a good W. I think this is going to be a close game. They have it in their head that they put an absolute thumping, and kind of made the game over before the first quarter was even done. I'm pretty sure that most of the people wanted to bounce out of there. So you got to start a new running back also. I say Rocket was a dude who was who liked to thump, and it didn't matter if you stopped him for a 2-yard gain, you still felt it. If you stopped him for a 10-yard gain, he only went back and said, "Do it again." same play. I don't care. I don't care if it's HB dive. I don't care if it's zone. I don't say if it's answer zone. Like, come on, let's just roll. And so, I'm really in Nichols Harbor, and he hasn't had that year yet where he is really just balled out. He is an absolute mutant. He is, he was the number one player coming out in his year for a reason. He was listed as an athlete to all the people, but he was phenomenal. I mean, he was phenomenal coming out, and maybe this is his swan song year. Maybe this is it. But I'd have to see, what does that defense look like? This is middle of the season. I mean, what is this? 7 weeks in, what is their defense going to do as far as coming together? It's there. You gotta take the punches, up there pretty early, and you have to survive those. But I think this is one that I can see Oklahoma, again, based off what we expect to be happening. This is one where I feel like you got a good chance to win.
Yeah, I think this one is one that Oklahoma should be able to go across over there and steal. I like Razul Faison, the transfer from Utah State. He rushed for 1,100 yards last year at Utah State. I think that he's one that's going to be pretty more explosive than people expect. But I don't know. I don't know about the backfield. Like I said, no Rocket. It's gonna be all on Seller's shoulders, and we've got to see if he can carry the load by himself. The wide receiver room's a bunch of freshmen. A bunch of freshmen. It is. It's just a bunch of freshmen. Their offensive line is decently aged. Some juniors, redshirt juniors, or redshirt sophomores and sophomores. They brought in one transfer center and two transfer centers, actually. One the starter, one's going to probably back up. That's we'll have to see. Like I said, returning production is kind of low, but we'll see. But I think that one's also a dub. I think the defense takes a step back, like most of the analysts have already said. For South Carolina, it's going to take some time for them to get there to that point. So, all right, next game. As my guy Truth is in there arguing with everybody about whatever he wants to argue about. Dog, you can fight. I don't have on Christian glasses. I'm just pointing out that they're returning 4 starters. The continuity on the offensive line is critical. We all know that. That's different. They played together. I love it. Happy for you. We'll see what it looks like when the season comes up. We'll see what happens in Ohio State game. That tells us everything we need to know. Next team, Coop. Ole Miss. I think I can be quick on this one, man.
Yeah.
They got a new quarterback.
Again, is it Simmons? That's the kid. Is that the...
As of right now, Simmons is your starting quarterback. They brought in 3 transfer quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I think they lose a lot on defense. The defense, again, this was the first, Jacob Sexton was out there, and he was playing his best game of the whole entire season before he went down. In that game, when he goes down, the offensive line looks a little bit different. Logan Hallen comes in, his first actual game time, and he got abused. He was signaling off his pass blocking run blocking sets. And it turned sour in the fourth quarter. Now they come to the crib. At this point, we will know who OU is, dead set and solid. Yep. I feel like that. I don't think Ole Miss has it this year. I think this is a team who, if you look at their schedule, right before us, they are at Georgia, and then they come home and they go at Georgia, at OU, South Carolina at home. Then they get to play their punching bag, the Citadel. So I have a feeling that this team is going to be a solid team. I think their schedule looks pretty manageable overall. So I think that they could have about a similar schedule as they did last year, but not be a similar outcome, but not be as good.
Yeah. I don't see I don't think double-digit wins happens for them this year. To me, I don't see that happening at all. So I think this one's a win. Simply put.
Yep.
They got a lot of transfers. Jeez Louise, going through this. Coop, they got so many transfers. I think their entire defense will probably be starters. That'd be all transfer guys. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dudes.
And it's the third year in a row that they have absolutely just gone out and went after every dang transfer, and it has not proven anything for them yet.
Well, I mean, it's Ole Miss. They've got 10-win seasons to their belt, and I've talked to an Ole Miss fan. They said, yeah, that actually feels good for them. It's been forever. I mean, it's been since Hugh Freeze the first time?
Yeah, when he was doing all the stuff that's absolutely legal now.
Yeah. We'll see what they look like. I marked that one as a W. I don't even argue it. Tennessee next game, traveling. Our last one in a 5-game stint that I think is going to be tough. Again, Red River's a toss-up. I don't pretend like it's going to be a guarantee of anything. It's a toss-up, and I think that it can be tossed up this direction this time around. Tennessee. That Nico situation, man. I feel like it broke them. Am I wrong to think that?
Tennessee fans have just in general, all across the board, basketball, the college softball, now in baseball, now they are absolutely just putting everything in the basket for this, for the baseball team. But I say this is they got at Alabama, at Kentucky, and then Oklahoma back in the crib. So they're going to be coming home, and I think that they are going to probably take an L, against Alabama. I think they probably are going to get into a phone booth battle with Kentucky. I think they pull that one out. And this may be a team who walks into Neyland, nursing a lot. And it doesn't matter who they got at quarterback. I think that even as underwhelming as Nico was, I just really, really feel that there was nobody that they could go out and get to basically call it a wash.
Yeah, and I've said it on record numerous times. I do think that Joey Aguilar will probably be better suited for this offense. But that doesn't mean he'll be that year one. Like, I can see him having a Hendon Hooker type couple of years, right? Year one, getting acclimated, do some things. Solid team, just doesn't win every game, doesn't go out there and win, every big game this year. But then next season going in there, boom. Because I don't think McIntyre is going to start. Merklinger, he's going to be battling Aguilar for that starting job. I do think that Joey ends up winning it just because of experience-wise. But Merklinger could. Jake Merklinger could take it. He's a redshirt freshman. He's been in the system. He probably could go ahead and steal that away. Their backfield's the question. I like Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop, but that's where we got questions for them. It's going to be that backfield. What does their backfield look like going into and again, this is early. I still got a lot of analysis to break down on it, but I'm looking early until we get into the
fall
camps where we really start to hear where everybody's go be. But they only brought in 7 transfers. They didn't do a lot. Now, one transfer I do like that should be starting for them potentially on the other side of them bringing in McCoy is going to be Colton Hood. He was really solid at Colorado. And I think that he's going to be a fun one to see where he ends up for them. I like Colton Hood as a pickup for them at corner. I think their defense is going to be better. We're going to be their main piece. I think they brought back a lot of defensive players. I mean, not having James Pierce is going to hurt them. And on their returning production calculations, they are 44th in the country, bring back 61% of their production. But losing all that offensive production, 126th in the country, dog.
And that team revolved. It didn't revolve around Nico last year. It revolved around Dylan Sampson. He was that dude. And he finally, in the middle parts of the game, he was the guy who really, kind of took off and really wearing Oklahoma down. Obviously, you have no offense. Every mistake that they made last year was followed up with an absolute, turn it back over, give it to Dylan, and just let him, take over. So that's it. And I do expect their defense to be pretty salty. I think this is a battle of a game, kind of like when Baker went up there. I think it's one that you gotta basically minimize your mistakes, capitalize on every opportunity that you have. But this is a team who I think that you get later in the season, and we're either going to see teams really starting to take the uptick, or you're going to see teams who are kind of cashing out. And it is what it is. Hopefully, this year we don't see anybody else on that Tennessee squad basically belly up and say, "Hey, I'm hitting the transfer portal," too early. But I think that Tennessee is going to need a year to this. What they need this year is win 7-8 games. Point towards the 26th season, and just hope to capitalize on all of the development on some of these younger kids.
Yep. Tim Banks has got some work to do to make sure that defense goes. Yeah. He's got some work to do on there, but the good thing is a lot of his he's returning a lot on defense.
Yeah.
The transfers they brought in, McCoy has been there a year. Turntime's been there for a year. Jackson Moy has been there for a year. So they don't have very many transfers on the defensive side that's going to have to start. That, to me, is big. That's going to help them, having those players that have been there that additional year. So I'm big for that. I'm big on that. I think we can go out there and win that game. Sign me up for it.
I think we win the November 8th.
We'll know.
Yeah.
Give me Oklahoma on that one. That's the one toss up I think we got. All right. Next one. We got the bye week. How do you think we fare in the bye week? I'm a little nervous about that bye week. That's a tough bye week. It's in November.
I think that bye week is gracefully given with those final 3 games, because I think, number one, you're going to be hurt at some point, and you're going to have some guys that are dinged up. That's going to be good. You get into the colder weather games, that's going to be some bliss that week. But heading into November 15th, I like the bye week.
I like that. We'll take it. Shout out to the bye week for not being awful to us in that spot. Let's take that. Alabama. Alabama's interesting, Coop.
It is.
Because they have returning production ranked 35th in the country. 63% overall. 63% on offense is 46. 62% on defense, which is 37th in the country. So they're bringing back a lot of players. A lot. Their biggest question, similar to most of the teams we're playing against, is going to be their passing game.
Yeah.
Is Ty Simpson ready? Now, this is where I give Alabama a lot of grace. Grubb has now returned
100%
to Kalen DeBoer. That's going to be fun.
Yes.
That, to me, is where you're like, okay, what can they end up being? Grubb coming back, I think, is a bigger deal than most people realize. And I think that that's going to be what makes Alabama a challenge. And I think that that helps Ty Simpson a lot more, especially with all of the returning production. What do you think on that?
This is one where you go down there if Alabama is able to get back to the spots where they have the Alabama way on defense, and the Kalen DeBoer gets his quarterback playing to a spot to where it is what he wants, and he can run his offense, and Grubb can run the offense. I mean, you've got Ryan Williams, who is up there with anybody. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, they are 1A, 1B when it comes to wide receivers. I think that for Alabama to get further ahead than they were last year, it's going to have to be, with Penix. Penix had 3 super high round, graded wide receivers, and they, that's how they went. And, beat Texas and then went and lost in the national championship game. I just really, really feel that I want to see what the culture is, and where Alabama can go is going to be based off of who can they have 3 guys. It's been a minute since Alabama has had that, 4 or 5 different dudes, at wide receiver who are all heading to the NFL. They've got 1 that is guaranteed now. Can they get more? What is the running back? Last year, they returned the least amount of rushing yards in the SEC. And brutal. This year, it's still going to be it's going to be up in the air. I don't think the defenses are ever going to get to a spot to where it was with Nick Saban, but I don't think that they're going to be a liability. I have Texas. OU season is going to hinder on Alabama, Texas, and LSU. I believe that fully in my heart. Those are going to be three teams that are going to dictate whether it is 9-3 or whether it is anything better. So I say this is, as of right now, I am predicting that Alabama does get their offense back together. I think that they're going to have a solid defense. This is going to be a deal to where I think that I give Alabama the win based off of home field advantage as of right now, because I think these are 2 teams that are going to be very evenly matched, and they got some revenge. We knocked them out of the playoff hunt last year with the out-of-body experience that Jackson Arnold had. We had an amazing game plan to shut Milroe down, and they could not do much of anything. Literally outside of a penalty. The best play they had all day was taken back because of penalty. And so
kind of a
Ryan
BS one, but yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be better this year. And so I'm going Alabama on this one. Based off of me projecting that DeBoer and Grubb will actually have the offense running how they want, and they're doing it at home.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. I actually give this one to Alabama as well. I feel like we have 3 actual toss-up games in this one. Literally 3. The 3 toss-up games I have will always be Texas because it's a rivalry, and I understand my resident Texas fan in the chat thinks that they're going to win every single game every time they play Oklahoma. That's cool. I'm glad he has his burnt orange glasses on. I'm not going to be ridiculous and think that is the chance that
even though we've won 8 of 11. Even though we've won 8 of 11.
Right. It's literally like this is how this rivalry has always gone. It's a toss-up. So I have 3 toss-up games in this one in Texas, Alabama, LSU. That's it. I think Oklahoma can beat everybody. I think they can beat everybody on the schedule. Those are the 3 toss-ups to me.
There's no guaranteed loss in my mind.
If I was to have to pick one that I think will be the loss, I think it would be Alabama bouncing back. Because I'm looking at their roster now. They're bringing back dang near their entire defense. And these transfers they have on their defense are dudes that was there last year. So I think their defense is going to be ridiculously good. I think that one's going to be a grinded out dogfight game. And even with the bye week, I think that one is going to be a tough one. If I was to pick a guarantee, I'd pick that game.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not mistaken. The only caveat I have on this one is, guess who they have while we're sitting at home in the ice bath? They got LSU. While we are on a bye, they are
That
playing
is
LSU.
True. That is true. They do have a dog fight
when,
the week before. And to answer your question, Sooner Cowboy, the Alabama game is a flex. So Tennessee and Alabama are both flexes. So it's going to either be a midday game or a night game. It won't be early. So there is a very good chance that that's going to be could be a night game if both teams are with no more than 1 to 2 losses each. If both teams have about 2 losses and they match up, it's probably going to be a night game. Anything more than that, then it will not be a night game. But I think that one is going to be that one to me is the one that I think that we could probably lose.
All right. With LSU, I mean, like I said, with LSU being, I mean, they get LSU and Oklahoma back to back at the crib, but we know that LSU game is, I mean, it's now taken over that Auburn game. That's their, kind of, measuring stick. It's been that way for quite a long time now, going all the way back, until the mid 2010s. They're going to need to muster up quite a bit. And I promise you, if they beat LSU that week before, you got to watch out, because Alabama, I think both teams, Alabama, LSU, OU are probably all teams that are going to the playoff.
Yeah. Phil still has that as his prediction. His prediction is Oklahoma makes the playoffs. So who am I to tell Phil Steele that he's wrong when he was so right on Oklahoma in 2023?
And last year. But without
last year, he was right on Oklahoma last year. He pointed it out. He had his concerns. He pointed out every concern. And his computer told him that. His computer is telling him Oklahoma now should do it. So, but I think that one's going to be the toughest, probably one of the toughest 3 games on the season. Next up, Missouri. I don't have much to say on Missouri, to be absolutely honest. We should have won the game last year.
The definition of fumbling the game away.
Oh yeah, we fumbled the bag on that one. That was all on us. Just
all on Jackson.
Literally falling on our face as a team. That was a team falling on your face effort. And I am in every way, shape, or form as embarrassed as you can be as a fan. We fell flat on our flipping face. Can't argue it. Period. That was our win. So I call what? Revenge game. That's a dub. Give me the Sooners. I don't even have much to say because Missouri, new quarterback, Rope Beulah. I like Ahmad Hardy at running back. I do like him. They got a new quarterback that is a grad transfer. Did Bo even play at Penn State?
No.
Okay, he's going to be a... Wow. That's fascinating.
I mean, there's a good chance that Missouri is, 4-8 this year. I looking at their schedule, I didn't even pull up their schedule. That'll show you my feelings on Missouri. But let's see here. They're going to have, they got Kansas that comes to the crib September 6th, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, Vandy, A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Arkansas. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably guaranteed losses with a couple that are flip-flop. I think they get Central Arkansas. God knows about Louisiana. We'll see what Missouri is with all this brand new. I mean, you lose Theo Weiss, you lose Luther Burden. They didn't have a strong running game last year, and I think Missouri gets back to where they usually are in that fighting for 500.
Yeah, we're at home. I don't see this one as a toss-up. Sorry, no, I'm not sold on Bo, who I've seen. He's thrown for. I mean, he's thrown for statistically. Yeah. Last season, he threw for 275 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game. And let me see how many games did he play last year. He did a lot of he played a lot in the Wisconsin game. 11 for 13, 98 yards and a touchdown. They won 28-13. Okay. They have a really good defense at Penn State, too, at the time. So I can give Bo benefit of the doubt. But I think that we beat Missouri. I'm not even going to go that far.
The only toss-up is going to be the coin toss at the beginning of the game.
Fair. Barring injury, it should be exactly that. Last game. This should LSU. This is the last toss-up for me. And I say that because Missouri had a lot of transfers that had to come in. They did a lot of transfer hunting. LSU, for the most part, the bigger one is going to be your Nick Anderson pickup, as well as your Bauer Sharp. I don't see either one of them starting. I have to see them healthy. Well, I got to see Nick healthy first.
Anderson.
Got to see Nick healthy first. If I see Nick healthy, I can see Nick taking a spot. Their wide receiver should be really good.
Will be very good.
Their wide receiver room should be really good this season. I don't want to see Michael Van Buren at quarterback, as he makes your boy nervous. I wanted him here bad because I think he's going to be good. But they should be one of the better teams in the SEC. Now, our boy Phil Steele here has them tied with Oklahoma this season. He thinks that the defense should be improved. They think their offense should be the same as last year. Actually, a slightly increase on the offense. He thinks the offense should improve. But they did lose 4 NFL draft picks off the offensive line. So that biggest question for them is their offensive line is replacing guys that were starters.
Yeah.
No different than any other team I've talked about. Their offensive line is replacing 4 starters.
Led with Will Campbell.
See what the chemistry looks like. I don't think the chemistry is going to be bad. I think that their line is going to be good. Just like, there's nobody that we play against. I think their offensive line is going to be awful. Their offensive lines that do, we got to see what they look like.
SEC wise and Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan's always really got them, right?
Michigan always is.
That's what Sherrone Moore his entire career has been based on. But they replaced some O-linemen, so now they're going to have questions. We got to see what they're going to turn into. But for LSU, the big thing is going to be they do have some Nussmeier's got some weapons. Now, I said this as a joke. Kind of. But Coop, Nussmeier's been there 4 years. He should be the starting quarterback. But they did bring in a quarterback that has starting experience in the SEC. I am not saying that Nussmeier will lose the job to Michael Van Buren. Could Michael Van Buren be a problem for Nussmeier? Just asking the question.
If we put him on his ass again, like we did last year, we knocked him out of the game, and then I don't know what like crazy ass kryptonite that made him come back and just go ham. But
he's tough. I'm gonna be keeping a buck. He's tough.
He's 6'2", 200. They reload at wide receiver and reload at wide receiver and reload at wide receiver and reload at wide receiver. I think that the NFL deal had a thing out the other day where it's like the top touchdowns by for wide receivers by college, they were far and above number one because of Chase and Jefferson.
Yep.
But hey, OU was up there too. And so here's the thing: is I really, really feel that this is at home. For us, this is going to be the last game of the season. You don't know what you're going to be playing for because you could be playing for anywhere from a got to win it to get in the playoffs to got to win it for a higher seed to got to win it for something I won't even say out loud, but it ends with a 0 at the back end on the loss side. They start the season with Clemson at Clemson, and then they end it at Oklahoma. They got Western Kentucky the week before, so I don't expect much out of that. While we are sitting, they end with Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and then Oklahoma, whereas we end it with Alabama, Missouri, and LSU. So we got to return the favor that we saw last year. I don't think that LSU is unbeatable. I would say that between Alabama, Texas, and LSU, I got to think that LSU is number 3 on the fear factor because it's at the crib and it's the last game of the season. So it's going to be that Thanksgiving weekend. People are going to be absolutely turned up. But I really do feel that this one, again, is a toss-up. Until I find out what OU is, I have an expectation of what LSU will be.
Aaron Anderson is also he's the one that transferred in last year. That was pretty solid for him. But yeah, no. Point made. They got a young line. Like this young line is redshirt sophomore, redshirt sophomore, redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman. For the most part, they could potentially start with a couple of redshirt senior and junior transfers in. They brought a lot of transfers, man.
The difference between this LSU team and the Joe Burrow team that we played in the playoffs is that offensive line. But November 29th, last game of the season, they ain't going to be freshmen. They ain't going to be sophomores. They ain't going to be redshirt anything anymore. Like those guys are going to be seasoned dudes. And so, man, I'm going to go LSU right now. I just because until I see. Again, there's a lot of things. This LSU team, when LSU has all these expectations, there's a lot of reason why people are looking at LSU and going, I'm not so sure. They've got weapons, but here's the thing is, if they got dudes in Nussmeier's lap time after time, those weapons all of a sudden ain't as sharp. So I'm going to go with, I kind of this season, like I said, Texas, Alabama, LSU. I think 2 losses come out of those 3. I would probably say, yeah, we can win every single one of those games. Do I think we're going to win every single one of those? I don't.
No, realistic.
But I did pick 10-2. So I will say that, because I said I think that we can beat Texas, and I called it a win there. I will say on this side, it's LSU. I think we take an L there. Just because that final stretch, I think you're going to be super emotional against Missouri, and you're going to come off to Alabama, and so yeah, I said 10-2. I've been calling 10-2. Again, health.
Yeah, it's all it is. Critical health. And Lemon, what's good, brother? I saw this earlier from you. Want to mention this? How does the injury list look thus far? In the real list of talks, Beefy has mentioned that he expects our 2 wides, Giovanni and Jaden, both to be ready by the start of the season. So, until that changes, I'm going to say we'll see them at the start of the season. We'll find out in fall. Both of them should be working out during fall camp. We'll have an answer at that point. The BK statement, I get it. He does lose close games often. He doesn't close very well. That it's always a Brian Kelly thing. I can totally see that being the thing that holds LSU up this season is they don't close. I think they're going to have a lot more close games this season. Go to their schedule.
LSU.
Where's the LSU? Let me pull up their schedule and I'm gonna share that real quick.
You start at Clemson, night game in the land of the hopium, also with Clemson. Can they get back? Can they get back to that? Now,
Clemson's
is that going to be? Yeah, is that going to be a game to where, kind of like what was at the beginning of the year, we saw LSU and A&M, well, not LSU and A&M, it was USC and LSU. How do you go? What are those guys going to be moving forward? I think that one, that's going to be tough. But I think Kyle said it in here. Let's see here. If BK loses to Clemson, Bama, and OU, he is gone. I think that means that you're good enough to get some things done, but you ain't good enough to get it all done.
Yeah.
And he's just not a fit. He is holding on for dear life, because I promise you, if Nussmeier came in last year and could not catch it back, and we won that game, his seat would be extremely hot this year.
Well, I agree with you 100%. 100%. That's going to be a tough one. Looking at this schedule, though, in which we got to go through all of our opponents' schedules and how they match up when they face us a little bit later. We'll do that in August. That will definitely be a We'll do that the week before the season starts. Look at all the schedules. I think that'd be a great conversation. But looking at this, though, in 100%ness, this is a very favorable matchup for them. The timing is very favorable. They get Western. They have Arkansas, Western Kentucky right before us.
Yeah, Southeast Louisiana, Louisiana Tech. Those are three just built-in W's. They're at Ole Miss, South Carolina at home, at Vandy, A&M at home, at Alabama, and at OU. But I think that November 9th, we will know who, let's call it November 16th. We'll know who LSU is, because that is Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Alabama, Arkansas. That is a fight every damn week.
Yeah. Alabama, Arkansas back-to-back is going to be interesting for them. I'm curious to see where this LSU game I'm curious where it is. Like I said, I think there's 3 toss-ups in there. Texas, which will always be one, Alabama, and I think LSU are your 3 toss-ups if everything falls right.
Definitely.
Welcome back, Duck. We missed you. Good to see that you are home safe.
Yes, sir.
But, yeah, that's our predictions. 10-2-ish. I don't think that's ridiculous. I think 9-3 is also fair, but I think 10-2 is not far-fetched. If things fall perfectly, hell, other options could also happen. So let's not be ridiculous too much out there. But let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know y'all thoughts. We always read them. We'll make sure to respond as well. Happy Father's Day to all the pops in here. Happy Father's Day to your fathers as well. Those living and heavenly ones to those that are not. Some of you will be futures. It's going to come. Your time will be there. But looking at the schedule, Oklahoma has a really good chance of being way better than what people want to give them props for. So, yeah. Coop, final thoughts?
It's the, recruiting is going to take, the few next couple weeks. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. There's going to be some stuff that sets people off. Freaking Thunder up, Jay. Tomorrow they come home. It is going to be, if you have an auditory sensory, do not go to that game, because it is going to be bananas. And we got an interview actually coming up here in just a few minutes. As soon as we sign off, I cannot send a link until we are signed off. But a couple other interviews coming up. I'm going to have another one with a offensive line target that is down to 3, committing here on the 28th. Currently picking OU for that one. 27 guy tonight. Fast riser. And so we'll have some more stuff for you guys here coming out this week. Hopefully we'll get the Crystal Chicken Wings, Crystal Balls start hitting, and it should be fun. It's
going to be a good time. So, all right, we're out. We will see all of y'all in the next, I don't know, 24, 40 hours. Chat up soon. Peace.